What's up, universe? Welcome to Sorta Comical Games Daily, your generic brand, kind of funny knockoff for Monday, December 21st, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Pergolari, joined by the man who used to not be funny, but now he is, Cole Penrice. I want to throw out a disclaimer right off the bat. Cole and myself are in no way associated with Kind of Funny or Kind of Funny Games, at least not yet. This is purely an homage to what they do each and every weekday, and I wanted to recreate the KFGD show as best as I could to do it justice during their time off for the holiday. That being said, I also want to get this out of the way. I wanted to make this show first and foremost as a tribute to Kind of Funny and how I've survived this crazy year with their help by making all of this amazing content. Secondly, I wanted to provide the best friends with something remotely close to what they'd expect normally during the week, even while the KF team is on a well-deserved vacation for the holidays. Seriously, you all did an amazing job despite the circumstances this year threw at you, so rest up and enjoy this time. All of that being said, disclaimers aside, Cole Penrice, how you doing?
Josh Pergolari, I'm doing good. Part two.
Part two, indeed, yeah.
Not as good as the first time. Actually, you know what? Feeling more confident the second time, I guess.
I'm definitely less nervous. It's kind of the blessing and the curse of the GCL curse. You can't have a recording under our banner without some sort of technical difficulty. So it's nice to be here, though.
Feeling good. Glad we've got the setup going on, even though this is not how we've ever done this before.
Right?
But yeah, no, it feels good.
Used to being at a table next to you, sharing a drink of choice, and here we are in our separate dwellings because it's 2020, yo.
Because it's still 2020.
I'm 21's not going to change until we all get that shot.
Yeah, we're so close.
Super excited.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it, folks.
We will. We will make it there. We're only a couple weeks away. Let's hang on tight. You better buckle up because we have got a show for you. Let's talk about some more Cyberpunk news. It's a little bit of drama with a dash of creativity, how the COVID relief bill affects content creators, and an 8-year-old pro gamer. Yes, you heard that right. He is a professional. All this and more because this is Sorta Comical Games Daily, an unofficial, kind of funny knockoff. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the actual Kind of Funny show by going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. On patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, you can write into the show, you can give your squad up requests, you can get the show ad-free, and you can get the show with the exclusive post show they do each and every weekday. Of course, there is so much more to do on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can toss them a few bucks, get some exclusives, and see a whole year's worth of content that has been up behind the Patreon wall just for the subscribers, which includes the latest Bless Up episode that has just gone live. However, if you don't think they're worth the bucks, they do understand. You can watch the show live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames or catch it later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. The plus side of doing things twice. Nailed it.
We got it that time.
I did.
Sort of.
I was like, bang no. Last second audible, I'm like, I'm going to do the arm because Greg does the arm, and that's a solid choice. I don't know if that came through on the mic, but at least you saw the visual.
I heard it, yeah.
Housekeeping for you today. The Back for Blood Let's Play is up on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. If you are a fan of the Left 4 Dead series, you should go check that out. And I know Cole is excited about that.
Yeah, I haven't watched that video yet. I did see some gameplay on Twitch from Critical, and I was a big fan of Left 4 Dead, and this game seems to do it justice so far. You know, from didn't care for the sequels, loved the original and the essence that it captured, and it felt like the sequels were just chasing that initial essence and never found it. But this Back for Blood revamp, if you will, definitely captures that original tone, in my opinion.
Very cool. Well, yeah, go check out that video and decide for yourself. More great stuff on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames is the latest XCast episode that was released on Saturday the 19th. So you can gobble up some more name brand Kind of Funny content before the year is up. You can also be on the lookout for the final PS I Love You XOXO for 2020. That will be live on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames on Tuesday, December 22nd. Greg and Blessing talk about the PS I Love You XOXO 2020 awards that you wrote in for. Greg did hint at the last KFGD that it will be a goofy time, so do not miss that. Also, don't forget, the Kind of Funny team will be back for Kind of Funny Day, their 6th anniversary, on Monday, January 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That will be a 12-hour stream celebrating Kind of Funny and telling you, the best friends, what their plans are for 2021. Do want to give a shout out to the Kind of Funny Patreon producer, Blackjack. There are no sponsors for this show because we're not allowed to do that. So don't worry about me telling you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. There are 5 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
All right. So first few news stories are actually Cyberpunk related. I know, groans across the world.
The groan hold heard around the world.
Yeah, right. More Cyberpunk news. But as I hinted at, there's some interesting stuff. So let's just dive right in. First story here is Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red could face a class action lawsuit over misrepresentation. This was written up by Adam Bankhurst from IGN. Adam writes, amidst all the Cyberpunk 2077's launch issues, CD Projekt Red could be the target of a class action lawsuit that accuses the developer of, quote, misrepresentation in order to receive financial benefits, end quote. As reported by the New York Times, lawyers and investors in Warsaw, Poland, where CD Projekt Red is located, are, quote, circling the situation, end quote, and contemplating whether or not they should take action. The controversy began when the first embargo for Cyberpunk 2077 reviews lifted. Outlets, including IGN, and I know Kind of Funny as well, only received the PC version of the game and weren't allowed to initially show footage captured during the review process. Following the game's release on December 10th, 2020, major problems were reported by those playing Cyberpunk 2077 on a base PS4 and Xbox One units, and warnings were issued for a possible seizure-inducing sequence. That definitely was trouble. We heard a lot about that last week.
I actually hadn't heard of that. I thought that was like a generic warning that was always given.
Yeah, I don't know if either the warning wasn't there or just this sequence is really bad in the game. And like, I remember when I saw that part, I was like, this is, yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyway, reading on from Adam here. CD Projekt Red apologized for not showing the base PS4 and Xbox One versions of Cyberpunk 2077 and told those who were unhappy with the game that they would be able to get a refund if they so desired. However, they ended up promising refunds they actually couldn't guarantee, as many had issues securing one. Now, since then, Microsoft and Sony did eventually officially offer a way for players to get a refund, and Sony even went so far as to remove Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store indefinitely. Right around the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red's stock price dropped about 29%, but that didn't stop it from selling over 8 million copies and recouping its entire development and marketing costs with pre-orders alone. CD Projekt Red has promised fixes are on their way, and it just released hotfix 1.05 to address many of them. Cole, a class action lawsuit for a video game.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, it's good to see that they're, I guess, quote, circling the situation. I don't know. I mean, when I think of CD Projekt Red, I don't know that they're the face of the kind of developing company that just wants to get rich and go for your money. You know, I was thinking about that earlier. Like, the idea of misrepresentation, from what I understand, which is pretty surface level, I do admit, is I mean, what does it say? Misrepresentation in order to receive financial benefits. That's this. I don't think this game's sales were going to change. I mean, this is the game that everyone's been looking forward to. I mean,
yeah, but their
know.
marketing had a big part of that, did it not?
That's true.
I mean, it was fueling up that hype train. Like, they were putting Top Fuel dragster gas in that bad boy. Like, I was in the hype.
Sense.
I was way sold into the hype. Now, granted, I'm playing on a PC. Luckily, I've got a new 3070, so I've got no major complaints. But again, I'm one of the lucky ones. There are obviously a lot of issues out there, and I know I've seen this game referred to as hoping to be the next No Man's Sky, or pulling a No Man's Sky, just because that game, not really the same circumstances, but very much underdelivered for what was expected and or promised even. But they turned it around. I mean, they just won the best ongoing game from the Game Awards, so it can be done. And I think if anyone's going to do it, I think CD Projekt Red can do so. I mean, we've seen, like you stated, they're not typically the ones to go out and just get your money. They've always been good guy developer, with what they've done with Witcher 3, their thank you note in the game and all the DLC, things like that. I just think, there's a big mess, and there's been a lot of news stories about the mess. I think they'll come out of this just fine.
I think so too. And I think it speaks to their vision with what they're trying to create, and it's I kind of relate it. I mean, I'm not the only one. A common relation is to GTA in 2077. I don't remember GTA having major issues. Do you remember No Man's Sky having some issues? I think that's probably the most prevalent one in my mind when I think back of like release and bust, other than the crew. I think we've talked about the crew in the past.
I think though, for No Man's Sky, I don't recall it being broken. I just recall it being empty and just like not including
leaving a lot to be desired.
Yeah, exactly. Not including everything that they seem to show off in their trailers and things like that. It didn't quite match.
That's true.
But the game was perfectly playable, at least in my experience when I played it at launch.
I think it takes a balance of knowing that you're buying a game on day one, which it stinks because this used to not be a problem and now it is, but they're obviously in the position where they're going to be in bug fixing mode. They're not going to be sitting back and just raking it in and just taking it in. They want to see the game. No game developer ever sees their vision to its fullest form. That's something. Every game developer, there's always something more that they wish they could put into it. So they're not the type to do that, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they're not kicking back. I mean, they even had there's other stories that I've seen that I did not include that the developers themselves were like firing some really hard hitting questions to the investors and like the board. Basically, like the developers, the people that made this game are pissed. And they're taking a lot of heat, and they don't deserve all that. So it sucks. I hope that this class action doesn't happen in a sense. Like I don't know. I don't know where I sit on that specifically, but I do think that they're on the right path, and I think they can pull out.
I agree. I think it seems like they have the mindset of righting the wrongs that have happened, and if they can do that in the right way, that's going to be the challenge. And if they can bounce back from that, then they'll be seen as I forget who developed
Hello Games.
Hello Games. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say.
It'll be another, Cinderella story in a sense.
Yeah.
So, second Cyberpunk on the docket comes from Adam Bankhurst again at IGN. Cyberpunk 2077 1.05 hotfix released for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. CD Projekt Red has released hotfix 1.05 for Cyberpunk 2077 on Xbox and PlayStation consoles. It looks to address issues in quests, visuals, and stability, and much more. The PC version is also live as of now, not as the time of this writing, but that is all good. Reading on, as detailed on cyberpunk.net, many of the changes listed should help with problems experienced in quests and fix some of the issues to ensure, quote, Jackie will no longer disappear in the pickup or the heist, and also fix an issue preventing players from landing the helicopter and love like fire, end quote. What will hopefully be most welcome, especially to those playing on base Xbox One and PS4 units, are the, quote, multiple stability improvements, including crash fixes, end quote. It will be curious to see how much it improves the experience on those consoles and if it will prevent players from requesting a refund. Just kind of goes on to say that Sony and Microsoft have officially, been offering refunds, and Sony even pulled Cyberpunk from the PlayStation Store until these issues are resolved. So I know that was a news story from last week, but as we just talked about, I think they're on their way. They can get this done. There's going to be, big fixes that we know that they've already talked about are coming in January and February. These hot fixes need to come in hot.
Yep, that's like I said, that's the name of the game. That's where they're at. They I don't think they've slowed down since release, which I don't think that ever happens.
Yeah. If you are interested in the full list of fixes, you can see that on cyberpunk.net and also on the IGN article. Moving on, the last Cyberpunk news is Cyberpunk 2077 players are coming up with crazy stunts to generate photo mode lighting. This is by Haroon Cryer over at Games Radar. Cyberpunk 2077 photographers are using the muzzle flash from their guns to generate some stunning lighting in their photo mode shots. In the post below on the official Cyberpunk 2077 subreddit, there are photos. So if you want to see what's going on, you can go to the subreddit or you can go to the Games Radar. Back to the article, you can see one player using a pretty unorthodox method of casting the perfect lighting on Judy sat on the edge of a bath. It is a pretty stunning shot with some equally stunning physics at work from the player's V. Players are resorting to this method because, as one user points out in the replies to the original post, Cyberpunk 2077's photo mode does not allow you to drastically change the game's lighting. Unlike, say, Spider-Man's Miles Morales, where you can generate and change multiple sources of lighting when you're using the game's photo mode, there is no such feature for Cyberpunk 2077, so players are forced to get creative if they want a new source of light for that perfect shot. Elsewhere in the replies to the original post featuring Judy, players are also using Cyberpunk 2077's photo mode to closely examine the character's tattoos. It turns out that Judy has references to songs by Red Hot Chili Peppers and Radiohead, as well as a fire truck.
Neat. I like that.
Yeah.
I love those little, not Easter egg. I guess they're kind of Easter eggs, Just
the references, yeah.
Yeah, little notes from the developers, little signatures.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Also, being in 2077, Red Hot Chili Peppers and Radiohead are so far removed.
That's true. Oh, I didn't think about that.
But also, how long does Red Hot Chili Peppers stay relevant? Another 20 years? I don't know. But yeah, I think that's disappointing that the photo mode is lacking, but really neat to see that people figured out a way. And the screenshots are pretty funny. The V is curled up on the ground, shooting the gun at the floor. It's weird, stupid game stuff that shouldn't happen, but they made it work.
I'm glad there's a market out there for people who like photo mode.
Yeah.
I never got too much into it. Everything, I've seen a lot of screenshots and uploads and stuff, and it's always super stunning to see, and I don't have the time or patience to do that.
Yeah.
Even in Spider-Man.
When I think about it, I love doing it. I really enjoy it. I can really dive in and spend too much time doing that. But oftentimes I'm so busy just playing the game, I don't think to stop and take a photo.
Right.
It's just one of those things that I don't do.
Yeah, same.
But yeah.
I did it once.
Glad people are enjoying that and finding ways to make it work. News story number 2 officially is Bungie talks about Vault of Glass returning in Destiny 2. Very excited. The team is aiming to make Vault of Glass feel like it did on your very first run. This was written up by Haley Williams from GameSpot. Haley writes, Destiny 2's big Beyond Light update may have started the process of retiring much of the game's old content, but Bungie is also bringing back some old favorites, starting with the original Destiny raid Vault of Glass. In a new interview with Polygon, Assistant Game Director Joe Blackburn has explained how he's working to make sure the new version of Vault of Glass plays just how you remember, despite the differences between Destiny and the current version of Destiny 2. Blackburn said that the goal of the re-release is to make running Vault of Glass in Destiny 2 feel the same as it did when players got into it for the very first time. He explains why this means that some tweaks are necessary rather than including the original version of the raid as a straight port. Quote, the Guardians have become significantly stronger in this amount of time, end quote, Blackburn explains. Probably don't need end quote when... Anyway, saying that the raid team went back into the original raid to see how it played before deciding that, quote, we would smoke this with Destiny 2 weapons and armor mods, end quote. With so many new weapons, exotics, supers, and gameplay changes implemented in the 3 years the Destiny sequel has been out, not to mention the 3 years of the original Destiny before that, a vanilla Destiny raid would be likely to bore current Destiny 2 players. Quote, we definitely are going to make changes to make it feel challenging like it felt before, Blackburn promised, but we don't want to go too far and make it feel like it's a different raid, end quote. Vault of Glass has previously been given a facelift for the penultimate Destiny patch, though Blackburn says that players should expect more dramatic changes from this update. Quote, there were some slight mechanical tweaks, there were some slight sandbox tweaks, but it was like, oh yeah, this is still the Oracle's encounter. This is still the Templar encounter, end quote. The challenge for Blackburn's team lies in changing the raid enough to keep it exciting while still having it feel like the original Vault of Glass in the end. But players can rest assured that Bungie intends to do right by the original raid. Blackburn also confirmed that original Vault of Glass loot will be available from the raid, with those weapons being redesigned according to similar ethos. But again, Bungie wants to ensure those guns still feel similar to how they used to. Vault of Glass will be added to Destiny 2 at some point in 2021, though Bungie hasn't specified when. Players can also look forward to Transmog, which will be finally added to the game along with Season 14. What an awesome news story for OG Destiny players.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, wait, this is a patch for Destiny 1?
God.
Okay, I see what you mean.
No.
So, yeah, no, we've talked about this. Destiny always has that power over almost any other game besides maybe Rocket League for me that just pulls us back on a regular basis. It's crazy to see that there's 14 seasons already.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me personally, I did jump into Beyond Light, and the major expansions always get me. I love the story. I love the lore of Destiny, and so every fall when that major expansion comes out, I dive in, I buy it, I play it, I love it, and then I drop off after the grind of, end game stuff and don't run the raids, and then feel disappointed 2 years later when I'm like, oh, I never ran that raid and they just removed it, and oh crap, I'll never do this. And
no one's running this one anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So like
that's gotten me so many times.
It's one of those things that I fall out. I'm not a 24/7 Destiny player, but I do very much enjoy when they have those big content drops. So when this does release, whenever in 2021, I will definitely be hopping back in. I'm super excited. I mean, it was the raid. It was what came with D1. So being an alpha Destiny player, this is super exciting. I can't wait. But until then, I'll be in Cyberpunk 2077.
What? Maybe this is just speaking to how long I've been out. What's transmog? Transmogrification?
Yeah, so transmog, it's a just an MMO term basically. So it's been something that's in a lot of MMOs that you can make a piece of armor look like another piece of armor.
Oh, okay.
So you've got a piece of armor that's got really great stats and is exactly what you want, but it looks like garbage. You can make your really cool piece of armor, like raid gear, look like whatever So you've got the
Yeah.
stats you want, but you got the look you want as well, and you can have a whole matching set. It's real cool. They've implemented some things with like ornaments,
Hmm.
but looks like full transmog is coming. So that's a really cool
Sick.
thing too for people that put style above function. Form over function is the saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I do sometimes. It hurts me that I do that, but I do.
You got to, man. If you got that ugly, uh, that ugly
You can't be
shoulder
saving the
piece.
universe looking like some dude that just rolled up off the street, right? You
Yeah.
got to look the part, dress for the job you want.
Exactly.
Speaking for the job you want, terrible segue. Story number 3, U.S. COVID-19 relief bill would punish streaming of copyrighted content. The legislation for $300 weekly unemployment bump adds the possibility of 10-year prison term for streaming protected content, would also create small claims copyright claims board. This is a very strange story to have in a gaming news podcast. YouTube video service, gaming talk.
Medium.
COVID-19 relief bill. Why is there copyrighted stuff in here? Well, Brendan Sinclair over at gamesindustry.biz tells us a little bit about that. A COVID-19 relief bill under consideration by U.S. legislators also includes a number of measures related to copyright law that could negatively impact game streamers. A House amendment to the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 introduced today would extend unemployment benefits in the U.S. by $300 a week through mid-March 2021, but it also incorporates elements of a recent legislation proposed by Senator Tom Tillis, Republican, North Carolina, that would establish a small claims copyright claims board and specifically make digital transmission of copyright protected works a crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison for a second offense. I am not going to read the language of the bill. There's 3 parts, a lot of legal jargon. Basically, it's unlawful for people to willfully do this to gain financial, gain, things like that. It's stuff protected under Title 17. Legal jargon. Look it up.
Yeah.
Past the legal jargon, he continues, this raises particular questions for YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook gaming, considering the game's influencers often involve a number of copyrights from the games themselves to licensed music featured in them. There have also been copyright lawsuits over tattoos on athletes in pro sports games, which I didn't know, and that's crazy.
Same. Yeah, me neither.
Article continues, Twitch in particular has faced a torrent of Digital Millennium Copyright Act claims, also known as DMCA, from music labels this year, so much so that the platform advised streamers to play games with the sound off if they had any doubts about copyright. The Copyright Claims Board has also been a point of contention, with the Electronic Frontier Foundation saying it would, quote, reignite the nationwide problem of copyright trolling, end quote, just as federal courts have started to demand stricter standards of evidence in such cases. The board would be limited to issuing rulings of no more than $30,000 plus legal fees in favor of claimants. Additionally, all information about the claims board proceedings, except for the final determination and records, would be exempt from the Freedom of Information Act requests. The bill is expected to pass, with congressional Democrats and Republicans saying yesterday that they had reached an agreement on the COVID-19 relief package. Cole, why are politicians getting involved with copywriting streamers?
That is a great question that I would love to confront Tom Tillis about. This bill is 5,600 pages long, and as of 2 hours ago, did pass, which also, if you live in the U.S., is giving us $600 stimulus, but it's not gaming related. So, yeah, it's 5,600 page long.
That's just a lot of words.
I can't imagine whoever voted on that being able to know what that is included. And I think the irony of this being included in a COVID-19 relief bill is doubly painful for everyone affected by COVID-19, because that part of the bill directly affects those stuck at home and streaming or uploading YouTube. From my one thing that I've been doing this year is watching DJ streams, because they have nowhere to go. You can see them all online for free on Twitch or YouTube or wherever. And now that's severely limiting what they can do.
Yeah, because I mean, even the people, like I will say yourself, that would do a stream, and you're mixing a lot of music out there. You don't have full albums that are produced, so you're mixing like that's, and a lot of people out there are doing that as well. You're only going to see a handful of actual artists that can play their own music and their own mixes and stuff. The majority of Twitch DJ is people playing other people's stuff and mixing it and making it unique. And I mean, that's part of that art,
Right.
So I that in and of itself is concerning. And there's stuff about Cyberpunk, like, oh, there's a mode, the streamer mode, so you can stop the copyrighted songs from playing. But then even apparently some were playing even with that mode turned on, and it's like, come on, y'all, like, seriously?
Yeah, I heard about that too. How a couple of them slipped by the filter, I guess, if you will, in the game settings. It's you can't. I mean, music is such a big part of streaming. You can't really. It provides so much to your viewers. In any piece of content has music. I mean, music's just such a big part of our life. And I get that people worked hard on this music, and it's kind of in that gray area between it's deviated away from piracy, I think.
Yeah.
But with that has come a lot of artists who are releasing their music copyright free, just to kind of protest against this. Hey, use my music, share it, enjoy it, put it out there, do whatever you want. I don't care. I just enjoy making music and sharing my music with people.
Yeah, that you just kind of spawned an interesting point, because a lot of times, the music being part of streams and stuff, it's in the background. Like, people are not playing this with the intent to make money from the music.
Yeah,
it's just there. It's part of the experience. They're making money because they're streaming, they're being entertaining, they're putting on a show, playing this game, or whatever. And even with the DJs, like, they're not going to get a subscriber or a $5 tip because they play Sandstorm.
Yeah,
like, they're going to play Sandstorm because it fits into their mix, because it gives them the right tempo, or whatever. Like, it's a banger as well. Hello.
It's a classic.
It's like they're not using that music with the intent to monetize the music. They're using it just as a tool, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So it's just, obviously the government controls a lot of things that they shouldn't control, women's bodies, things like that, rights of human beings. And this is just another to put on the list. A first world problem for sure, not as important as human rights, but frustrating for people trying to make a living.
It all comes down to this just being slid into a relief, what should be a relief bill, and instead it's a punishment legislation. Like, this is it. I mean, it's,
don't let the door hit you on the way to the bank.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I forgot what I was going to say.
Moving on.
News
story number 4. This startup makes an Xbox dongle that will keep watch against cyberbullying. This is a very long article. So I'm coining this as required reading. Owen S. Good over at Polygon did an excellent write-up on this dongle about the startup that is run by Mr. Ron Kurbs. I don't know his name. He might be a name in the industry. It's a really neat little device, basically trying to monitor chat and everything that goes on Xboxes specifically at this point in time. And it goes through their flagging system, and then they have a human being look at it and say, oh, like, what was this? The article talks about how the game Bully triggered their system, and the person was like, oh, wait, like, this is the game that's saying all this stuff. Like, that's why. And it's like, well, it works. Bully is true to life. Bully is harassing people. So I thought it's just really interesting from the standpoint of where we're at with, trying to make the internet more appropriate for, kids to be on, to try to lessen the harassment and just the bullying and the name calling and the racial slurs, things like that. Someone outside of the actual organizations doing something. Whether or not it's going to catch on, I don't know. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo co-signed a pledge to make video gaming safer, especially for their younger players. So the big companies are on top of it. Well, they're saying they're going to be on top of it. Whether or not we see any side effects or what that looks like, or if it makes headlines, is a different story. But I just thought this was a really interesting read. It talks about neural networks and kind of what it does in order to do its thing of detecting harassment. But I think it's interesting. I think it's cool that someone is just using their experience and their knowledge to tackle this in the gaming world.
Yeah, and I don't know if you read this. He had his previous history is, I guess, his company Gettys. It's a 10-person company. His previous history is that he worked for the Central Intelligence Unit for the Israeli military, where he developed threat detection solutions.
So yeah, talk about using a way different background and implementing that in a different space. Yeah.
Yeah.
High tier government infrastructure to who cursed at your son on Xbox Live.
Right.
So, I mean, that downplays it, but I do think that's a really cool little piece of tech. And, if the big players of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo don't actually do anything seriously to safeguard against harassment and bullying, then we're going to have to depend on these types of devices to help out. So I think that's cool. I'd like to see where that goes in the future. But that future is so far. I'm just kidding. There's another story. Which brings us to story number 5. An esports team signed an 8-year-old, but nobody is sure if it's legal. This was written by Nathan Grayson over at Kotaku. This, as well as a very long, well-written article with a lot of great information in it. I will read a portion off the top, and we'll kind of touch on the important parts, and you can go read the rest. You can consider this required reading part 2. But here is what Nathan has to say. If nothing else, Team 33 certainly made a splash when it arrived on the esports scene earlier this month. In a press release, the previously unknown organization boasted of a Hollywood team house that had already played host to big names like Janelle Monáe, Post Malone, and Drake. But it wasn't glitz and glamour that prompted a withering glare from the esports community's Eye of Sauron. Instead, it was the team's first announced signee, a Fortnite player named Joseph Dean. He is 8 years old. Dean is a child. To hear Team 33 founder Tyler Gallagher tell it, he's an extremely skilled child, but a child nonetheless. Despite the fact, Dean is now a full-fledged member of a professional organization, and he's got a $33,000 signing bonus and a brand new $5,000 gaming setup to show for it. When the signing was first announced, some esports fans declared Dean's unlikely debut a dream come true, the sort of opportunity that most kids would screech themselves hoarse over. But others looked on with furrowed brows and scrunched up faces. They smelled something fishy. At such a young age, how could he enter tournaments? And what could the team possibly have him do that wouldn't violate child labor laws? Surely, fans figured, Dean's signing couldn't be legal. Extreme youth is not uncommon in the esports world, where teens become stars and teams push the limits to get an edge in the competition. Multiple Overwatch League teams have incubated underage players until they've hit the minimum required age to play on Blizzard's big stage, which is 18. In 2019, then 16-year-old Fortnite phenom Kyle Bugga Gersdorf won the Epic Mega Games $3 million World Cup. Somewhat notoriously, 2019 also saw High Sky One, a player signed to the esports behemoth FaZe Clan, get busted for pretending for years that he was above the minimum required age to stream on Twitch and compete in the Fortnite tournaments, which is 13. In reality, FaZe first signed him when he was 11. In response to this revelation, Twitch suspended his account and Epic revoked his tournament winnings. He went on to stream on YouTube with direct parental supervision per YouTube's rules for young children until he turned 13 earlier this year. This is why so many esports fans aren't sure what to make of Dean's signing. Yes, esports pros skew young, but Dean is young. If High Sky, who was 12 when he had to briefly pause on his career, couldn't do it, how can Dean? According to Team 33 founder Gallagher, it's simple. Dean won't technically be doing anything that constitutes work. Quote, essentially there's no labor laws because he doesn't have to work. He's just gaming. He's waking up on Saturday morning or he's coming back from school at 5 p.m. and he's gaming with or without us, end quote. Gallagher, an alternative investment firm CEO who claims his company is worth $1 billion, told Kotaku over the phone. Quote, we're not flying him out anywhere. He's not entering tournaments. He's playing like he would play on Saturday or Sunday. We're legally allowed to give him money. Third time's charm. We're legally allowed to give money to him because we believe in him and we're making an investment. End quote. Dean's contract, Gallagher said, is confidential, but in short, it does not specifically require him to do anything. If he doesn't show up to weekend practice with other still unannounced members of Team 33, he will apparently face no consequences. If he is spending too much time gaming and not enough time on his schoolwork, there is an option for his mother to break the contract entirely. So that was a lot, and there is more to go. They do talk to the mother a little bit and kind of go over that. So this is interesting. I have very, very mixed feelings about an 8-year-old professional gamer. Cole, I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, same. It's hard to know where to start, you know? Like, I'll start with this. It sounds like Gallagher is the investor. It sounds like he's approaching this so far from the right angle and with the right North Star, in that, hey, we like this kid and we want to make sure that he succeeds. And that's why we're doing this. And we just want him to do what he loves doing, which is gaming, and not have to worry about anything else. What happens when he comes of age and gets older, I think that's where the gray area starts to become grayer, and questions start to be asked about, you know, what could his future hold, or how is this going to affect him as an adult? But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of jump in here. I think that I don't want to discount the fact that it's incredible that an 8-year-old is good enough, you know, that he has the skill, obviously, to invest $38,000 in him, and also take a huge PR risk. Like, this is not, you know, obviously there's a lot of like weighed, like, oh, this is cool, and also like, this is really sketchy. It's like it's a big risk on a lot of factors. And not to discount that the fact that he's able to do that, but I think that, I mean, just 8 is so young, and who's to say that he's going to be still this good when he's 10 or when he's 12 or when he's 13? Like, you know, whenever he can compete, who's to say that he keeps up at the top of his game? You know, in 5 years, there could be some kid that's already 10 that is better, that, you know, is just committed more to that craft. I mean, he could get interested in karate next week. And that could be
Right.
like all he wants to do is just go chop boards in half. And
Yeah,
you'd be
he
like,
could.
Fortnite who?
Remember that time I played video games as an 8-year old? What an 8-year old thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, granted, I've played games for 20 whatever years now,
Right.
but not like that's not the thing that I dive into. And you know, I would say that I wish I knew what the heck I wanted to do with my life for sure. I mean, this is kind of it, but you know,
Right.
there's a long ways to go. I mean, if this 8-year-old is going to play games professionally for as long as he possibly can, and then cast or stream or you know whatever after his professional career is over at 19 because he's too old, because that seems to be how it goes with professional gaming.
Right.
Um, but I mean, like, if that's that, great. Like, good for him. I am so glad that he gets this opportunity and he's getting started. But my concern as a parent, you know, if I thought that my kid was in this situation, I wouldn't want them to miss out on other opportunities or think like, you know, oh, I'm not going to do Boy Scouts because I'm gaming. Oh, I'm not going to go sign up for soccer or karate or, you know, whatever, because I've got this contract, you know, I got this gaming thing going on. And maybe this gaming thing doesn't work out in 5 years.
Hmm.
Like, what are those missed opportunities? You know, I look back at my own life as like, well, I was playing soccer and baseball and I missed out on Boy Scouts. Like, I thought that was cool, but it was like, well, my parents are like, we have X amount of time and X amount of money. Like, you got to choose something. And so I missed out on Boy Scouts, and you know, that's fine. I survived. I wouldn't survive if I was in the woods, but that's why I stay behind this desk.
Right.
But you know, those things that I was not even contractually or monetarily like committed to is like, I missed out on other opportunities. So that's my biggest worry in this. And it's just like, he's 8. What does he know what he wants to do? But if he does, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to take that away from him. It's just concerning being an adult and thinking, crazy kids, man.
Yeah, I think this brings up a big theme that I hear, that I've started hearing recently, and it's let kids be kids. Um, Whenever you have someone like this that kind of steps in and holds your hand down the path of life, I think that's where it starts to get a little bit questionable. And again, this Gallagher character, he could have the best intentions in the world for this kid, and it could be the most healthiest agreement with this kid and his mom. Um, but you you want to let kids be kids, and I don't know, like it's easy to see. You could look at anyone in this situation and you know, fill in the blank. This could be a gymnastics god prodigy, and you know, someone wants to take him to the Olympics. It, how different? How is that different? You know, but you look at situations like that, and you're like, that kid didn't get to experience a childhood, and if you're kind of relating those things, it's easy to see how he doesn't have as much agency in what he wants to do.
Yeah. I
But
also think that can be equated to like child actors as well. You know, that's
oh
obviously
yeah,
very difficult. There's documentaries and things like that out there. A lot have done really well and maybe continued acting into their adult lives and lead pretty normal lives. But it can also be difficult, and they do miss out on a lot of their childhood, and you know, they don't get the normal experiences that
yeah,
a lot of kids do. So, you know, I think everything in life comes with its pros and cons. You know, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you're gonna pay for that somehow, and I just hope it's not too much. I hope that it does work out for him. So,
yeah.
um, but knowing how that's gonna work out for 8-year-old Dean is so far away. If I wanted to know what came out to mom and pop shops today, where would I go?
You would go to the upcoming list of software across each and every platform, as listed by the Sorta Comical Game Show hosts each and every weekday.
Boo doo 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 doo. Yeah. Out today, we're going to start with a couple of game updates. Fortnite's limited time event Operation Snowdown is available now through January 5th, 2021. So go get your icicle picks and snowshoes and whatever else they got. Genshin Impact's big 1.2 update is arriving on Wednesday, December 23rd, bringing with it a huge new area, a host of new rewards and content, and some well overdue quality of life updates. The update will bring 2 new 5-star characters across 2 banners. First, the sword-wielding Geo-Alchemist Albedo, and later in January, the Cryo-Archer Ganyu. And as I mentioned in the news, Cyberpunk 2077 Hotfix 1.05 is live on all platforms and PC. Disclaimer for the releases. I did pull these from Metacritic last night and have no clue where KFGD uses to gather their releases, so excuse the mess. I will preface also, there are no Xbox or PlayStation releases today. Let's start the list. Smart Moves, Switch. Traffics, Switch. Killer Chambers, Switch. PBA Pro Bowling 2021, Switch and PC. The rest of this list, PC. Buckle up. Your Gothic Battle Royale, Futa Fix Dick Dine and Dash. All Hail the Cocotron. Hex Doku. Mython Island. Infected Prison. Round 99. Twabu. Fish to Cuffs. Yes, Fish to Cuffs. Air Bounce, right. The Jump and Run Challenge. Malmir. Gravels. Ambroetio. Hentai Dates. Devil Edge. Breath or Breathe? I don't know.
It's breath.
It is breath.
You decide.
Gem Deeps. Big Adventure of Fighting Chicken. Fruit Sudoku. Zero Gunner 2. Zup Z. Pray and Spray. Cars vs. Zombies. Double Jump. Kami Killer 1848. Idle Coin. Formosa Night Market VR Arcade. Monstrous Molecules. Labcraft Survival. Poco in Dungeon. The Deepest. Savage. The Challenge of Limits. Date Simulation Prototype. 2D Owen. Agent of Chaos. Aggressive Robot Vacuum. Chest Destroyer, aka Blessing. Fiendish Thieves. Theomachie. Toxic Aim Trainer. Kinesis.
Those are some titles.
PC is just littered with things to play.
God, it gets me. Futa Fix Dick Dine and Dash.
Yeah, so like for the list on Metacritic, Dick is not the name Dick. Like
that's
they
right.
use D ** K. So like it's intentionally, they had to like bleep it out basically.
Maybe it's like a dodgeball reference and it's actually Duck Dine and Dash.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. But you can find out for yourself. Go check it out on PC.
I'll be streaming it No, I'm just kidding.
This is the part of the show where there would typically be a squad up request from a kind of funny best friend, but that is obviously not a thing today. So I do ask, if you've made it this far and actually enjoyed it, please give a like, subscribe to the channel, and share with other kind of funny best friends. You can also follow each of us on Twitter @_Brookalary and @ColePenrice for more fun in our daily lives. You can find a lot of political retweets and things that my toddler says that I think is funny, and some gaming stuff. That's me.
I just recently looked through some of my Twitter profile stuff, and it is the most random stuff ever. Let me tell you. My pinned tweet is from 2017, and it got like 4 likes.
If it's gold, it's gold, man.
Comedy gold.
I mean, you put that trophy up on the shelf. Why take it down?
I'm still waiting for my what's it called? My blast off into
stardom.
Into the retweet mania of
like going viral,
having more than 12 people retweet something that I tweeted.
That would be nice. That'd be cool. The next segment is You're Wrong. That is a part of the show where those of you watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames can correct the host when they get stuff wrong so they can set the record straight for those watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe by going to kindoffunny.com/you'rewrong. Though that does not exist today, not because we didn't get anything wrong, but because this was not recorded live. You can still let us know what we got wrong in the comments below or harass us on Twitter, but don't actually harass us on Twitter, please. Thank you.
Please be nice.
Be nice, be kind. This is kind of funny. We don't have to worry about that.
We're all best friends here.
We're all best friends. I do want to say a big, big, big thank you so much for actually watching this. If you did make it this far, then congrats to you. You deserve that hour back. I do hope that we did not disappoint too much. I'm also hoping to post some additional episodes going forward, whether this week or next between Christmas and New Year's. Though I do make no promises. I will be working my normal day job, and I might get a cease and desist. Not from Kind of Funny, from Nintendo, because they just like send those out for no reason.
We just have to not use any music, and we'll be fine.
Wahoo! Oh, getting a cease and desist from Nintendo right now. Just came into my inbox. If the episodes do go up, it will be right here on the Game Called Life YouTube page in the later hours US time. We don't have a fancy URL, so just subscribe and you can come back to the page and find us there. Also, don't forget to check out the new XCast episode and the Back 4 Blood Let's Play that are already on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Also, be on the lookout for PS I Love You XOXO 2020 Awards when it drops on Tuesday the 22nd on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. This has been quite the ride. To Kind of Funny, thank you so much. I do appreciate each and every one of you for the work that you guys put in, both on the game side and the normal Kind of Funny side. 2020 wouldn't have been the same without you guys. I do truly mean that. So I do hope this doesn't disappoint. I hope you enjoy it, and pay some respect to the work that you guys put in and day out. So I have been Josh Brickalary, along with Cole Penrice, and until next time, Game Daily.
Peace.
Wow. Nope.
We cutting that one.